Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to this video on the Gemini full moon, the final full moon of 2024. And what a full moon it is. This is big energy here and really expanding us into new possibilities and getting back that childlike curiosity of what we want our future to look like. And instead of being overwhelmed by this idea of there's infinite possibilities, we start to get excited about it. We start to get curious about where we may be settling in our life for less than what we really want, where we're having conversations with people that just feel like they drain us or that we're perpetuating these thoughts or ideas or beliefs that are actually not benefiting our life or benefiting the planet. So we got a lot to dive in here today. If you are new, my name is Kara. When I do these videos, we're studying the astrology, but then I'm also sharing guidance with you from the Akashic Records. So I'm an Akashic Record practitioner. I love working in this space. Your Akashic Records bring you back to your unique journey of the soul, your unique blueprint for success. And I can tap into the collective records and really get insight around the energy of the new moon, the full moon, or what's happening in the cosmos at any given time. And really explore what it looks like to tap into these energies in the highest potential, the highest possible timeline, because there's always different possibilities for what we can create and manifest. And we want to tap into the highest timeline for joy, for abundance, for harmony, for more unity on the planet. So that's what we do here. If you're new, say hi. If you've been with me for a while, say hi below too. Always love hearing from you and how you are experiencing these energies play out in your life. So let me share my screen and we're going to take a closer look at this full moon in Gemini, final one of the year. So the moon is over here at 23 degrees of Gemini, opposing the sun at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. Anytime there's a full moon, there's automatically an opposition at play between the sun and the moon, which is what makes it a full moon. And we're working with the Sagittarius Gemini axes. And this axis in astrology is all about the stories we create. And the stories we create really determine the experiences we have in life. It really becomes the lens in which we see the world through. So, for instance, if we see ourselves as somebody who struggles, who is unlucky, who never gets what they want, what are we going to create, right? We're going to recreate more of that. We're going to see through a lens that makes that true because we are that powerful. But if we begin to tell a story of our power, how loved we are, how supported we are, how our desires are meant to come to fruition, how regardless of what we created in the past, every moment is a new choice point, every moment is a new beginning, and we can actively create a new future. And there's a lot of dreamy energy surrounding this full moon. Neptune coming into play here, the square between Neptune and the moon is really about transcending those old patterns, those old ways of seeing ourselves that are not useful, not helpful, not aligned to where we want to go. And the interesting thing is, when we start to explore these belief systems that govern our life and determine the actions we take, the experiences we have, they're put in place at a very young age, the first 7 years of our life. And we recognize a lot of the stories we are playing aren't ours to play. We've inherited them from our parents, from our teachers, from society, but they're not the truth of our soul. And there's this invitation here to like really question the stories that you're telling yourself about your life and being honest. Like, is this useful? If not, it's time to write a new story. So, when we look at the Gemini archetype, it is also very social energy. It's about the connections we have, it's about embracing the different parts of ourself. It is related to the throat chakra, how we communicate our wants, our desires, our needs, how we communicate with ourselves. And the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and we currently have had Mercury retrograde the last couple of weeks, and it's actually stationing direct at the time of this full moon. So Mercury retrograde is a time to reflect and reevaluate the path that we are on in life, especially where it was happening in Sagittarius. It's a good opportunity to look at, okay, am I happy with the path I'm walking? If not, what changes do I need to make in my daily routine and my thoughts and my beliefs and the habits I'm cultivating so I can create new experiences? So the stationing direct at the time of the full moon can be a time to apply a lot of those insights and look at practically making those changes in your life. And Mercury in Sagittarius is a very bold communicator as well. So we may have seen that come up the past couple of weeks, just noticing it perhaps in other people or in ourselves. And like our words hold so much power. And even, I look at this with my clients a lot, like where you're holding back in your messaging from saying what's really on your heart to say, like where are you dumbing it down? Where are you taking yourself out of the equation, trying to be pleasing to everyone instead of just saying what you want to say? And Mercury in Sagittarius really teaches us to like speak our truth, to, be bold, but with an awareness, of course, of the power that our words hold and being intentional with our wording can go a long way. And this is also being intentional with dialogue that we have with ourselves as well. So there's this beautiful grand fire trine at play with this full moon, and Mercury is actually involved in it. So we have Mercury trining Mars in Leo, currently retrograde, trining the North Node here. So this flow of fire energy at the peak of it, Mars in Leo. So Mars retrogrades every couple of years, and it governs our drive, our energy, our life force in your birth chart. If you know where Mars is, you have a glimpse into your style of manifesting, how you, if you are somebody that tends to take initiative or be more cautious in the actions you take, like our Mars placement can reveal so much about our manifestation style. So currently for the collective, we have Mars in Leo where it's very strong, and it really invites us to look at how we are taking center stage in our life. Each of us are meant to be center stage in our life. Infinite intelligence wants to be expressed and flow through us. And when we are in our power from a place of love, which Leo is governed by the heart, we call others into their power from a space of love and imagine the world we create. So Mars retrograde is a time to look at where you're not maybe stepping up and taking that center stage in your life and expressing yourself creatively, letting your light shine. Where do you tend to dim your light? Where do you feel like, oh, I just have to be more humble and hold back from being my full self? Another way we can look at this Mars retrograde and what tends to happen during a Mars retrograde is we become aware of what's zapping our energy. If we're feeling low energy, it's a good opportunity to look at where we're saying yes to things that our body is actually a no to, where we are pushing ourselves beyond our limits, where we are not nourishing ourselves. And we're going to be working with this retrograde into 2025. We're going to notice it more when it moves into Cancer. I think this is where we really become aware of where we need to nurture ourselves a little more, where we need to care for ourselves, where the balance of giving and receiving, whatever that looks like for us in the season we're in, if that's way out of whack, we're going to be very aware. Because Mars in Leo, even retrograde, is still quite strong and definitely does, again, encourage that like self-expression, that creativity, that boldness, that shining our light in whatever that means. Like that is actually unique for each of us. So it can be helpful to even reflect on what does expressing yourself creatively mean for you? What does that look like? What does taking center stage in your life actually mean for you? It's not like this is a one size fits all. This is where we get to reflect on these questions and see how these energies play out for us. So I really love this trine here with the North Node because it's wrapping up its cycle in Aries and it's going to move into Pisces. So we're going to have a nodal change next year. I just finished hosting a mastermind, an Akashic mastermind in New York City with the most amazing group of visionary women. And part of our time together is we went over the astrology for 2025. And there's so many outer planets that are changing signs next year, kind of dancing back and forth, wrapping up time in one sign, moving into the early degrees of the next. So it's a year of huge change. Like I feel like 2025 is going to be one of those years where everything changes for our planet and in our personal life. And we kind of look back and we're like, wow, this was game changing. And keep in mind as I say that as well, that it's not written in stone. Like, I really want to invite each of us into our power to look at how we are contributing to that change, what that looks like for us. This big shift of Pluto in Aquarius is power to the people. So it's not about giving our power away and just looking at what's happening in the world, like feeling like we're not engaged with it or we can't contribute to the direction in which it's going. We want to reclaim our power and recognize that each of us actually play a role, which is a lesson we are all learning and being initiated into with Pluto in Aquarius. So yeah, this grand fire trine here with the North Node is really getting honest with yourself about the path you are walking right now. And does it light you up? Does it feel aligned? Are you living someone else's life and their definition of success? So we all do this, right? We take on programs the first 7 years of our life. It's like our brain is being programmed with who we are, how we see ourselves, what we think about the world, what we see as possible. And we tend to go through life proving that it's true unless we begin to question it. So I know if you're here, you're somebody who's going to question the beliefs you have, the path you're on. And, I encourage that in all my videos to look at regaining your power to choose again if you're unhappy with the path you are walking and not blaming yourself or others. It's about massive self-compassion and empowerment that comes from love. So this is definitely about exploring the path you're on, if it lights you up, what changes you're called to make. I feel for a lot of us, we're really gaining clarity around what our vision is for the future and where that vision may be influenced by outside sources and not really what our soul wants, or we even change throughout our life. So what we may desire at one time doesn't mean we want it today. We get to ask again, like, okay, what is it I truly desire today? What lights me up? What is it I want in my life? And what's a step I can take today to get closer to it? And then Mercury is also part of this trine as well. And this really reminds us of the power of our belief systems, the thoughts we have. We can't outperform our belief system, but we can change it. So it is in alignment with what we want to create. And Mercury is the ruler of this full moon. So we also see it forming a sextile here with Venus and Aquarius. So bringing in, again, the social aspect. Gemini and Sagittarius are very social energies. They're about connecting. They're about adventure. They're about keeping an open, curious mind and exploring new possibilities. And then Venus and Aquarius is quite social as well. So really exploring the nature of our relationships, the conversations we are engaging in. Venus and Aquarius have such a desire to connect with soul family. This is something else that was so nourishing about New York, connecting with visionary women. And we all connected on such a soul level, even though, we're unique individuals, different personalities. On a soul level, there was that connection, and there's something very nourishing about putting ourselves in spaces with people that get us on a soul level. Now, I also think it doesn't hurt to be challenged by new ideas and possibilities, what this full moon speaks to as well. But we also need those connections in our life where we feel really seen and heard on a deep level. And when that happens, it's incredibly healing, and it's also incredibly empowering and incredibly life-giving. So Venus is actually very well aspected at the time of this full moon. And again, it really does put that spotlight on our relationships. The other aspect I want to look a little more closely at is the moon squaring Neptune here. at the final degrees of Pisces. So square could be seen or is seen in astrology as a form of tension, but it's tension that can lead to incredible growth. So this really is about the mind and the heart coming together with Neptune. It is that transcendence of like you are greater than the obstacles that come your way. You are greater than the stories you have about who you are. You are greater than your past. Like I actually see this as a very optimistic energy. If there is tension that comes in around maybe overthinking or questioning, like, is my vision possible? Can I really create the abundant life I want, have the impact I want? Like, we may start to question some of those things. So let me remind you that you can. Let me remind you of who you are. And just because we have these doubts and fears, we don't have to make them true. Like we can have thoughts and beliefs and doubts and fears. And if we don't feed into them, then they don't really affect our life as much. Like we just kind of float on by, and part of our human experience can have those doubts and fears, especially if we are playing out of our comfort zone. So we're continually putting ourselves in new situations, environments, making decisions that expand us. Those doubts and fears can be normal because we are walking new territory. So it's unfamiliar. Our mind doesn't have a data bank yet of like, okay, how do I navigate this? It's new, but that's where we really trust our heart and intuition, which Neptune really encourages us to do as well. So those are the main themes I'm seeing for our final full moon of the year. I would take this time as well to do a reflection around what you're releasing and letting go of. That's always a good practice anytime in our life. And if we're following the lunar cycles, the full moon really helps us tune into that and get honest with ourselves about what we need to release to allow space for more things to flow in. And because it's also the ending of the year, it's a really good practice to do that. And, journaling on that clarity around what is it like you actually want? And if it was all possible, what would you want? And not getting overwhelmed with the possibilities, but instead seeing that as abundance. Like having infinite possibilities means we live in an abundant universe and we don't need to get overwhelmed by that. We can get curious about it. Gemini invites curiosity, getting curious about what we desire our life to look like. And sometimes that's playing and trying new things. So we have feedback and we can decide whether it's aligned or not. We don't have to figure it all out in our head. We can take action, get feedback, decide what works, leave what doesn't. So yes, I am sending you all so much love. Thank you for being here. I'm also going to share some helpful links below. My final offer of the year is really special. It's called Galactic Synergy, and it's one-on-one work where we have a 2-hour call together. And this one is tailored towards spiritual entrepreneurs. I'm going to help you map out a plan for business expansion in 2025 based on your soul blueprint for success. So we look at your unique astrology, we enter your records together. You walk away with a clear plan. There's also activations and clearings that are a part of it. So check out all the details below. Once again, so much love. Enjoy this final full moon of 2024 and the holiday season. Bye for now.